I was just a super angry person from when I was a kid. I mean, when my parents got divorced, they knew it had affected me because I had started going to a therapist. Well, at that time she was called a counselor pretty early on, and I remember her specifically like, you get so angry and mad, it's just uncontrollable, right? And I was like, yeah, like I just can't help it. I want to scream, I want to hit something, I want to break something. And she'd be like, well, scream into a pillow or squeeze a Nerf ball or something, which I guess for, a fourth grader or whatever, that's probably a good thing to recommend. That's decent. But that anger and everything continued until I was 30, and I still get angry, but I know how to direct it now. So yeah, it was the bad eating, just negative all the time. I was
Yeah.
just the most negative person. Everything was bad. Everything was out to get me. If my shoe got untied, I would get so pissed off. Probably because I was fat and I had to figure out how to tie it. But
Right.
that's another story. But or just the goofiest things. If I kind of stumble walking down the hall, or the littlest things would just set me off. And my instinct is to scream and hit something. I got into a lot of fights in school and middle school and high school, a lot of physical altercations. Never started them, always found them because I was always looking for them. And you attract what you look for. So that's kind of what happened. And then there was just like I said, I had no hope. I almost felt lost, and I was just kind of going through life, and all that anger and frustration would come out at certain times, and then I would get upset for getting upset and losing my
Mm.
temper. That then would spiral down into more like of a depression. And I, for a long time, thought it was normal for people to be depressed. And like up until a few years ago, I was depressed, I would say 75, 80% of the time. And once I found out that's not normal, like I met somebody who's like, I've never been depressed. And he was around my age. I'm like, what are you talking about? How have you not been depressed? Like, and once I figured that out and I started getting into books and self development and, came across the secret, and it's about the law of attraction and stuff. But I remember specifically, they're like, what you think about, you attract. Like, you don't have to be this way. You can be that way. And I was like, literally in an instant, I'm like, oh, I don't have to be negative. I can think differently. I can try to think positive. And literally, like my life,
Yeah.
my mental health took a different trajectory from that point.
Yeah. I,
Yeah.
I say often everything is mind control,
Yeah.
including the words we use to ourselves. So, you know, choose, are you going to control yourself positively or negatively?
Right.
You know?
Yeah, you set the reality that you live in, and
Hmm.
a lot of the times we set the reality based on the perception that we perceive that they have of us, right?
Right.
So it's pretty crazy. But let's flip that. So obviously you had a downward spiral. You had a lot of negative either addictions or vices or habits. So obviously you started doing some positive habits like reading and things like that. So what were some of the coping mechanisms that you didn't expect, but like they kind of flipped the opposite as far as like, like say you had a negative thought loop. What was something that you didn't expect that created a positive thought loop? Like, so that way somebody that might be dealing with this currently can
Hmm.
maybe flip it over, right?
Yeah, for sure. So the thing that started me changing as a person and changing my mental health and my direction in life was physical activity. Once I decided I wanted to, at that point, it was just lose weight. I just want to lose weight. So I'm going to go for a walk. I didn't know what else to do. I went for a walk, eventually would start running, and then, eventually go to the gym and stuff. But like when I talk to people about it, it's like get in action. Because when you just sit there, literally just sit, and you're just dwelling and thinking and spiraling in the darkness of depression, first of all, it's actually, to me, it's very selfish to be depressed because all you do is think about yourself. So it all starts with getting physical, literally get up, do some jumping jacks, go for a walk, go for a run, because you can't be in a negative mindset and be in peak physical performance at the same time. It elevates your frequency totally, right? And then the second thing right on top of that is I started like trying to go out of my way to be kind to people. At the grocery store, let me hold the door for them. Let me help this lady get something off the shelf. It actually happened today, so maybe that's significant in being on the podcast tonight. She asked me to help her get something off the shelf, but like just those little things, right? I call it get outside of self, where I'm
Yeah.
so concentrated on myself. I feel like shit. I'm talking shit to myself. I'm putting myself down. Let me help somebody else and see how good that feels. Oh,
Mm,
wow. It feels really good. I'm going to do that a little bit more. All it takes is a smile to somebody, and that person could be feeling the way that I was or I used to. And I smile at them, they smile back, and maybe they have a little bit brighter day. So why not
hmm.
do that?
That's good, man.
Yeah, and then so on top of the working out, I just drastically changed what I was eating. Again, I didn't know what to do at that time, so I literally almost stopped eating. I didn't do it the right way. Don't do it this way if you want to lose weight. Um, I literally ate grilled chicken, apple, salads, and that's about it for like 6 months. And I was moving a whole lot, so eventually I lost 143 pounds in about a year and a
Whoa.
half. Yeah, I got
Wow.
I got actually got too small. um, and then progressed into maintaining a much healthier lifestyle in the right way once I
Right.
learned about nutrition and resistance training and all of that. And then, like you said, reading, listening to things. Like I'm real big on what are you feeding yourself, but not literally.
Yep.
Like what are you feeding your mindset, right? Your brain. So, yeah,
Mind control.
motivational,
Yep.
inspirational stuff. I don't watch anything that I think is going to like bring me down, especially the news, or even certain movies or things. If they're about certain topics, I just don't, won't do it anymore. Um, and then music, of course, music to me is the biggest mood enhancer, no matter what mood you're in. So, choose the right music depending on the mood.
I love that.
Yeah.
I love that a lot, man. The point that really just jumped out at me the most there from the things that you did differently, um, being kind to other people, doing things for other people. I heard it from his name is Garrett Unclebach. He said, if you want to have an amazing life, live for other people.
Mm.
And I was like, dang, it's so true. Because when you force yourself to have to think of others first and help others first, it inherently makes you like a better person because you
Right.
have to be in order to give to someone else, right?
Mm-hmm.
And especially like you were saying, it's so easy to get caught up in our own stuff, right? And look at our own pain and be stuck in our own thing. But if you are able to make that first step outside of yourself to look at someone else and help them with their thing, somehow your stuff feels a lot lighter.
Yeah.
And it's just that like slight perspective shift. It's like a breath of fresh air, like you've been holding your breath underwater and you finally can come up for air. It's amazing how that works. and
Mm-hmm.
and then what you were saying is, you made it like a daily habit. It kind of just keeps you from regressing back into that place, right? So great stuff right there, man. So we kind of interrupted your story. I know you've kind of talked about the weight loss now, but go through the details of where you were, kind of that pivotal moment for you.
Yeah.
It was like, okay, I've got to make a huge change here, and then walk us through kind of the rest of your journey there.
Yeah, certainly. So it's always an ironic story telling this, and it's not some like big crazy health scare or anything, thank God. Um, for me, it was my current wife. I had met her from an acquaintance at the time. They were actually dating. So you can call me Mr. Steal Your Girl, I guess. But they had broken up. And then a few months later, her and I had been hanging out quite a bit. And this is while I was still big, mind you. And we went on a hike. Come to think about it, I don't know how I got up that hill, but I guess I just had to impress her or try to feel like I couldn't fall on my face.
You were thinking with your head, not your head.
Yes, yes. Uh, so we get up on this beautiful, like scenic outlook. We're on a big bluff rock. There's trees and a river below. It's just beautiful. And we're just sitting there, and she's kind of at the edge of the cliff, and I'm sitting back, and I get this weird feeling in my stomach. I'm like, I haven't felt that before. What's going on? Oh, I think this is love. I think I love this girl. That's weird. I can't love
Mm.
her. I can't. No, that ain't right. Well, turns out I did. And when I realized it, I was like, being a man, I was like, she's not going to want to have sex with a big fat guy like me. And that was the pivotal moment that made me realize I needed to lose some weight. And then the
I
next
don't see
day,
anything wrong with that.
yeah, I mean, whatever it is, let it motivate you. I'd rather it be
Yeah.
something like that than a giant health scare or,
Right.
something else. So, and it worked.
All right. So you met the girl of your
Yeah.
dreams. You wanted to woo her,
Yeah.
and then you started down the path.
Yeah. Um, just like the next day, okay, instead of waking up and eating Pop Tarts or Little Debbie or whatever quick thing I could, I just went to work and was like, okay, we got some, like we had a little break room that had some food. So like I had this apple and dude, I hadn't even had an apple in probably years. I couldn't even tell you, right? And I used to stop on the way to work and get a pack of cigarettes and soda and like everything. Well, I cut everything cold turkey, food wise. There was no more soda, there was no more pizza, no more candy, no more Little Debbie, no more cakes, no more chicken fingers, and that was stuff I ate every day almost without thinking about it. And then started walking. Walked probably 5 minutes the first time and was like, oh, okay, I'm done. At least I did something. And then the real trick was going back to the house and not rewarding myself because I did
Yeah.
something small.
Yeah.
And so at the time, I worked a very physical job, so that was beneficial for my weight loss.
Right.
But
Yeah.
after getting off work, her and I would go to the gym. We'd have a gym date. And
Nice.
I wasn't lifting weights because I was like, I got to lose weight. I just got to do cardio. So I would literally get on a treadmill for 2 or 3 hours. I'd either watch a hockey game or a TV show, run during the commercials. So kind of doing like hit workout without knowing. I'm telling you, I didn't know anything, right? Super small gym. They're actually big nationwide, but they're smaller. So there wasn't like trainers or anything. But finally, one day, the owner talked to me and, he's like, I've seen you in here. You lost a lot of weight. Have you thought about lifting weights? And I'm like, man, I don't know anything about that. And so he kind of introduced me to resistance training.
Yeah.
And from there, like, I fell in love with it. And I was like, wait, I don't have to do cardio, like, barely at all or ever. Like,
That's
hell
right,
yeah. Like,
buddy.
yes, let's go. Like, and so, just years
One
and
of
years
us.
of that,
One of us.
yeah, right. Yeah. And then I'm like, okay, I think I graduated out of this gym. I'm gonna, move on to a little
Yeah,
bit bigger
buddy.
gym. Yeah.
I love it.
And that's the evolution just came from there. Yeah.
That's awesome, man.